A very good morning, one and all of you. Today, I'll make an introductory on what is pre-pack insolvency under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, and I'll just try to highlight how it is beneficial to our country's economy. We all know that COVID-19 pandemic has impacted businesses, financial markets, and economies all over the world, and our country is by no exception. It has impacted the business operations of mainly MSMEs and exposed many of them to financial distress. We all know that. MSMEs, that is the micro, small, and medium enterprises, are critical to India's economy as they contribute significantly to India's GDP growth. That is the gross domestic product. And it provides employment to a sizable population. The Government of India has taken several measures to mitigate this distress caused to pandemic, including, increasing the minimum amount of default for corporate insolvency resolution process, that is a CRP, wherein the initiation was made to 1 crore rupees from the earlier threshold of 1 lakh rupees under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. Then there was a suspension of filing of CRP applications from March 25th, 2020 to March 24th, 2021. However, once this suspension period ended and applications started getting filed for CRP under Section 7, Section 9, and Section 10 of IBC to the National Company Law Tribunal, which is the NCLT, and which is the adjudicating authority, and where it got resumed with the new threshold of 1 crore rupees, it was considered necessary to urgently address the specific to address the specific requirements of corporate MSMEs relating to their insolvency resolution. To address the urgent requirement of micro, medium, and small, and medium enterprises classified as corporates, it was considered expedient to provide an efficient alternate resolution process, ensuring quicker, cost-effective, and value maximization outcome for all the stakeholders in a manner which was least disruptive to the continuity of their business and job resolution. See, we can see that the objective of the parent code, which was the code earlier and which is also the code earlier for all corporate persons, is to consolidate and amend the laws relating to the reorganization of insolvency resolution process of such corporate persons, partnership firms, and individuals in a time-bound manner, very specifically in a time-bound manner, for maximization of the value of assets of all such persons, to promote entrepreneurship, availability of credit, and balance the interest of all stakeholders, including alteration in the priority of payment of government dues, and to establish a regulatory framework forming a board called the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. An effective legal framework for the timely resolution of insolvency and bankruptcy would support the development of credit markets. They'll encourage entrepreneurship. They'll improve the ease of doing business in the country, and thereby facilitating more investments into the country, and thereby leading to higher economic growth and development in the country. So the code has designated two adjudicating authorities, that is the NCLT, which is the National Company Law Tribunal, as the adjudicating authority for corporate persons, and DRTs, that is the Debt Recovery Tribunals for individuals and partnership firms. As the Parliament was not in session, and it was considered necessary to urgently address the specific requirements of corporate MSMEs relating to their insolvency resolution process, the Honorable President of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind, promulgated the IBC Amendment Ordinance 2021 to include a pre-pack insolvency resolution process for corporate MSMEs on April 4, 2021, under the powers of Article 123(1) of the Constitution. It was a step, as I told earlier, for an efficient alternative resolution process, ensuring a quick and cost-effective and value maximization outcome for all stakeholders, ensuring less burden on the adjudicating authorities, and in a manner least disruptive to the business community, and to preserve jobs following this actually followed the footsteps of the developed economies. And the rules were framed by the central government on April 9, 2025, followed by the regulations by the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India it all happened in quite a quick session as alternate resolution for the corporate MSMEs. Because of this COVID, many supply chain disruptions have happened after this COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. And to overcome this, the central government has come up with an Atmanirbhar Bharat package and such other schemes. Government thus tried to create an ecosystem to serve all the corporate MSMEs say emergency credit line scheme, subordinate debt scheme, etc., etc. So many schemes have come. And Reserve Bank of India too came up with such restructuring schemes to deal with such stress. Earlier, before the advent of IBC 2016, it was a model like the debtors in possession model that was prevalent. Like in old acts like SICA, that is the Sikh Industries Companies Act, recovery of debts due to banks and financial institutions, RDBFA Act, securitization and reconstruction of financial assets, and enforcement of securities interest, that is a SAFASI Act. IBC then shifted it to the creditor and control model with the resolution process assigned to licensed insolvency professionals enrolled with an insolvency professional agency and registered with the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, and to have resolution process completed within a timeline of 180 days, extendable to 330 days, left to the discretion of the adjudicating authority. If a resolution plan could not be worked out within the timeline, then only it goes to the worst case scenario of liquidation, and that too in a time-bound process, and ultimately the dissolution of the corporate person. Thus, in a nutshell, we can see that it was a revival process. It was a revival process of a revival of the corporate persons through a resolution process with timelines rather than a recovery process. It all done for the maximization of the value of the stakeholders, to promote entrepreneurship, to make available credit back into this financial system, and to balance the interest of all stakeholders, including alteration in the order of priority of government use. All it's being done in a regulatory framework. They're contributing, as I told earlier, to the economic growth of the country. If we look into the MSME space, we can see that MSMEs are mostly enterprises with even promoters involved in the day-to-day work and with much less staff. So a lengthier resolution process is not feasible, and it needed an easy process. In the pre-pack process, the model earlier the creditor in model, I'll repeat, I lost the flow. So a lengthy resolution process is not feasible as needed, and so it needed an easy process. So in the pre-pack model, the model shifted back to debtor in possession, but with a committee of creditor supremacy, that is the COC. COC is just, whenever a debt comes, all those, who are the debtors, they form an association. About that I'll tell later. See, moreover, the board is not suspended and no fear of job losses arise. Debtors and creditors, they do arrive at a consensus. A resolution professional is appointed, and at a timeline of 90 days. And a timeline of 90 days is given for making application to the adjudicating authority, and 30 days for an approval from the adjudicating authority. So in total, the entire resolution has to happen in 120 days after commencement. In India, there are approximately 6.3 crores of MSMEs in India, and in the formal space as well as in the informal sector, of which around 29 lakhs are already registered with the Ministry of MSME, which includes corporate MSMEs too. Registration with that MSME ministry is a single process. It's a simple process wherein there is a smooth and sound integration with GST and CBDT, with no need of hard copies to be filed in different offices, and one can rely totally on government portals which have a good data management system through API systems. Every year a change, every year a change in turnover of investment details will be dynamically reflected, will be dynamically captured in the Udyam portal. Now let us look into that what happens in the NCLT. See, when a corporate MSME, that's the corporate debtor, CD, makes a default in payment of about 10 lakh rupees and an application of pre-pack insolvency resolution process, that is a PPARP, may be made to the adjudicating authority NCLT of the concerned zone where the corporate is registered with the registrar of companies, that is a ROC. CD shall then file an application for PPRP initiation within 90 days with no intention to defraud the creditors and with the proposal and approval of a resolution professional. Members of the CD then shall pass a special resolution or of a 3/4 of the partner's resolution. CD shall also obtain approval from the non-related party financial creditors, that is the FCs, with a 66% threshold of financial debt. Before approval from FCs, CDs has to provide FCs declaration, special resolution, a base resolution plan, and such informations and documents as may be specified. Application to AAs shall be in such forms and such fees as may be prescribed. Corporate applicant shall also with that application furnish a declaration, special resolution or resolution and approval of FC and the name of the proposed RP and approved by the COC, a declaration regarding the existence of CD transactions in respect of avoidance, fraudulent or wrongful trading. There are certain transactions like that, that fraudulent, extortionate credit transactions and all. And as may be specified, and information as relating to the book of accounts of the CD and other documents need also be filed. The A then shall file 14 days of receipt of application by order. The A then shall within 14 days of receipt of application by order admit the application if the application is complete in all respects or reject the application if incomplete with an opportunity to rectify the defects within 7 days. PPRP then shall commence from the date of admission of the application and the PPRP shall be completed within 120 days from the commencement date. RP shall also submit the COC approved resolution plan to the A within 90 days of commencement. Wherein no resolution plan is approved by the COC within the time period, RP shall in the day after the expiry of filing application, where no resolution plan is approved by COC within the time period, RP shall in the day after the expiry file application to terminate the PPRP. On admission, AAs shall declare moratorium, appoint an RP, and cause a public notice of the initiation of the PRP to be made by the RP in such a form as may be prescribed after his appointment. The order of the appointment shall have effect from the date of such order until the PARP comes to an end. RP shall conduct PRP, confirm the list of claims submitted by the CD, inform creditors regarding their claims, maintain an updated list of claims and monitor the management of the affairs of the company, inform the COC, and on the onset of any breach of obligation of the board of partners, constitute the COC and convene and attend all meetings, prepare information memorandum, and on that of the preparation memorandum based on that of the preliminary information memorandum, then file an application for the avoidance of transactions, fraudulent or wrongful trading, or such other duties as may be prescribed, as may be specified. Now let us look into some highlights of the ordinance. So the main insertion of the ordinance was the insertion of a new chapter called Chapter 3A in Part 2 of the code as Section 54A to Section 54(9), namely the pre-pack insolvency resolution process. There were other insertions too, as like say Section 11A. It was for the disposal of applications under Section 54C and under Section 7, 9 and Section 10 of the code. Whereas Section 54C application is pending, wherein that Section 54 application is pending, adjudicating authority shall first pass an order to admit or reject such applications before considering any applications under the above 7, 9 or 10 sessions. When an application under 54C is filed within 14 days of filing, this Section 7, Section 9 or Section 10 petition which is pending The adjudicating authority shall first dispose of 54C applications. Where an application is filed after 14 days, adjudicating authority will first dispose of section 9, section 7, section 9 and section 10 applications. However, these sections won't apply to section 7, 9 and 10 applications pending as on date of the commencement of the ordinance. The other insertions were, one of the other insertion was the insertion of the section 67A, that is a penalty for a penalty of not less than 1 lakh rupee but may extend to even 1 crore rupee, wherein the officer of a corporate debtor manages its affairs with the intent to defraud the creditors or for any other fraudulent purposes after the PPRP commencement date. Insertion of section 77A, an amendment in section 4, that is the insertion of the maximum limit. Section 5 about base resolution plan, preliminary information, pre-pack insolvency date and pre-pack insolvency resolution process course, and in some other mentioned sections also insertions were made like section 11, section 33, 34, 61, 65, section 208, section 239, which deals with the rules for the applications to adjudicating authorities, section 240 and section 240A regulations. These were also made. Section 77E was for the punishments related to PPIRP. There were omissions too. The omissions was made in section 77 where the explanation was omitted. Last but not the least, this new chapter dealt with section 54A to 54P, reads on the process of the corporate debtors eligibility for PPRP, what are the duties of RP before initiation of PPRP, how to apply to initiate for PPRP, what are the timelines to complete this process, the declaration of the moratorium and the public announcement during PPRP, what are the duties of the RP during PPRP, how to list to the list of the claims and the preliminary information memorandum, how to manage the affairs of the CD, committee of creditors, vesting of management of CD with RP, consideration and approval of resolution plan, how the appeal against orders 54L, how the termination of PPRP happens, and suppose if it doesn't get end there, how to initiate a CARP, and a reference of the application of certain provisions of chapter 2, 3, 6 and 7 to this chapter. So I think I was able to give you a bird's eye view of what it is of PPRP. And, okay, take care, use your masks, maintain social distance, stay safe in these pandemic times. Jai Hind.